Real estate is an art learned skillfully and perfected with precision. On that note, I say welcome to yet another edition of this video series that is entitled How Nigerians Abroad Can Invest Successfully in Real Estate and Retire Home with a Smile. Of course, this is part 3. So in case you missed previous episodes, check the link in the description so that you watch the first 2 videos to actually understand what it's all about. In case you have not subscribed to this channel, this is a golden opportunity for you to do so that you follow us and get regular updates and information that will actually assist you in your real estate journey. So today's topic is about 7 ways we can confirm the genuineness of properties before purchase. I encourage you to watch the video down to the end and you see that the 5th point will amaze you. Now let's dive straight into the topic. So the first point we are going to talk about is to quiz the owner. What that means is to ask the owner several questions. To start with, you ask him, how did you become the owner of this property? Now there are 2 possible answers that he might give you. He could say, I bought the property myself. Or he could say, I inherited it. Now, for the first answer, I bought the property myself, you can probe further. You ask him, when? Who did you buy from? So on and so forth. You can also find out what are the title documents of this property. So as you ask him each of these questions, you allow him to respond to each of them one after the other. So you allow him to respond to each of the questions. Don't interrupt him. Don't interrupt the seller. Just allow him to respond spontaneously to all your questions. That way you begin to understand the history of the property. Then you can also request to see the document. So when you see the document, you check the name on the document and then you compare it with the name on his valid ID card, government issued ID card. If the seller responded to your question, how did you become the owner of this property, as I inherited it, then you need to shine your eyes. Yes, you probe further. You ask him other questions like, is there a document to that effect? Is there a will stating categorically that he inherited the property? You need to request to see that document. It's very, very important. Then another question you need to find out is this: how many wives did your father marry? You understand? This question is very, very important. So the other question you should ask is this: what is your position in the family? And another follow-up question is, who is the overall head in the family? You get it? You are asking all these questions to get details about the property. You want to know the history. You want to know the background of the property. You want to know the background of the property. So when you ask this question, allow the seller to respond to each of them. Don't interrupt. Allow him to give as many details as follow. Any point that is not clear, you want to ask other questions. You see, by doing this, the seller is able to give out enough information, even certain facts or details that he would want to conceal. But by virtue of the multiple choice questions that you are asking him, he won't know when he will spill everything out. You get it? So that is how you actually quiz the owner. See, these questions are very, very important because we have seen situations whereby one member of the family will just come up, and sell a property that belongs to another member of that family. You get it? So to avoid situations like this, you have to ask series of questions. Like the last question, who is the overall head in the family? You see, you take note of his name so that later on, as you continue to discuss or as the transaction progresses, you now request to speak with that person. You get it? And not just speaking with him, you want to see a valid ID card. Just check the identity of that person, check the name on the ID card, and compare it with the name the seller gave to you at the initial stage. That's not all. You can even request to speak with other members of the family. So this way, you have heard from different sides of the story, and you begin to compare all the information you were given. You put all the pieces of information together, and then you draw your conclusion. So the second point is to interrogate neighbors. The closest neighbor to that property can give you useful information about the genuine owner of the property. You see, let me give you a quick tip. You see, most property owners tend to, discuss with their closest neighbor to keep an eye on their property. So that is why it is very important for you to get information from the closest neighbor to that property. So you ask that neighbor certain questions. Please, do you know the owner of this property? Just try and get all that details from him. Is this property under dispute? So on and so forth. You see, why is this important? Look at this scenario. If you bought a fake land and by the time you start clearing it or you want to lay foundation, the real owner surfaces eventually. How does it happen? It's because a neighbor or someone close by has alerted the real owner that, look, there's a trespass on your property. So don't neglect asking neighbors about the history or origin of a particular property. It will aid you to know the actual owner. See, the third point in determining the genuineness of a property is to meet with the street leader. You see, in every street, there tend to be one person that organizes all the activities or affairs of that particular street by virtue of the fact that he was the one that came there first. So that person can also provide vital information about the genuine owner of that property. So the fourth point is to visit the community secretariat or the town hall, community town hall. You get it? So if you go there, they have the database of all those in their community. Database, I mean, they know all those in that community. Before anybody can come to that community to buy land and start working, they have to see the community first. You get it? So that's why they are able to know all those in that community. So when you go there, just ask them certain questions. Take the document the seller gave to you, like the approval, take it to the community. Ask them, please, do you know this person, the owner of a property in this particular location in your community? Sometimes, if they are in doubt, they'll follow you to the location, to that particular property, to see it with their own eyes. So by the time they have seen it, they can tell you, okay, we know the owner, or this property is in dispute, stay away, something like that. The fifth point, just before you make payment, you want to compare the name on the document, that's the seller's name on the document, with the account name. Yes, by the time he gives you account that you want to pay in, check the account details, check it very well to see if the name in the account tallies with the name on the document, or if the name on the document tallies with a valid government issued ID card. This is another way of confirming whether the person selling is the owner. The sixth point is this: you want to check visible signs of a property in dispute. Physical signs. What are some of the physical signs that the property is in dispute? Well, if you notice that part of the building was destroyed or part of the fence was destroyed, that could be a hint. Ask the seller what happened. You understand? Don't just be satisfied with yes or no. You have to probe further. Ask series of questions, and you want to also ask anyone around to get all the details about the property. The last point we want to talk about today is to go to EDOGIS for confirmation. EDOGIS stands for Edo State Geographic Information Service. It is a government office located in Sapele Road. You see, the government have the database of all the properties in the state. There are certain areas that are marked as government acquisition, and so on and so forth. Apart from that too, there are certain areas that have been reserved for a particular purpose. Maybe that particular location have been earmarked for future development by the government. Maybe they want to use that place for market, or a major road will pass through that place, or other projects too. So by the time you go to EDOGIS, you will get all these details. Apart from that, there are other things you need to do. Documents you need to take to EDOGIS for confirmation. Well, it's usually survey or C of O. That's what you take there for confirmation, to know the real owner of that particular property. So what they do is that they will check the survey or they check the C of O, they log it into their system, to their database, and information about that particular location pops up. In fact, the information about the person that did survey of that area will pop up, or information about the person that did C of O in that area will also pop up. If that location is government acquisition, it will also pop up. However, there could be a major concern here. What if that particular property does not have a survey document or C of O? What will you not take to EDOGIS, or what will you do? Well, in that case, you take a surveyor to that property. The surveyor will take the coordinates of that particular location. Having taken the coordinates, the surveyor goes to EDOGIS, will lodge it in to the database. However, there's a major concern if the property in question does not have a registered survey or even C of O. What will you now present at EDOGIS? Well, there's a way out of that challenge. Just take a surveyor to the property. The surveyor will take the coordinates of that location and then take it to EDOGIS for confirmation. That way, if that property, somebody has done a survey or C of O on it previously, the information will come up. You get it? Wow, we have covered a lot in this video series. So if you have not yet subscribed, why don't you consider doing so? You may also want to share it so that others will have access to this beautiful information.